The objectives are definition, types of hypertension, its causes and pathogenesis. Then we will discuss about vascular pathology, hypertensive heart disease, pulmonary hypertensive heart disease, and then lastly summary. What is hypertension? All of we know that elevated blood pressure is called hypertension. It is a common health problem which remains asymptomatic until late in its course. It is one of the most important risk factors for coronary artery disease, cardiovascular accidents, cardiac hypertrophy, heart failure, aortic dissection, and renal failure. When there is a increased sustained diastolic blood pressure more than 90 mm of Hg or systolic blood pressure more than 140 mm of Hg is considered as a hypertension. So remember, more than 140 by 90 mm of Hg blood pressure, that is considered as a hypertension. More than 800 million people are affected worldwide. Systolic blood pressure is more important than diastolic as a determinant of cardiovascular risk. Decreased blood pressure reduces the incidence and death rate from IHD, heart failure and stroke. Now coming to types. First, that is a benign hypertension, which is also known as essential hypertension, which do not cause short-term problems. When controlled, it is compatible with long life and is asymptomatic until MI, CVA or other complications occur. So it is called benign hypertension. Now coming to malignant hypertension, rapidly rising blood pressure that if uncontrolled leads to death within a year or two, which is characterized by severe hypertension when there is a more than 200 mm of Hg systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure is more than 120 mm of Hg, associated with renal failure, retinal hemorrhage and exudates with or without papilloedema. Now coming to classification based on severity, it is divided into mild, moderate and severe. When there is a systolic blood pressure is between 140 to 159 mm of Hg and diastolic is in between 90 to 99 mm of Hg, then it is considered as a mild blood pressure. It is considered as a severe when there is a more than 180 mm of Hg systolic blood pressure and diastolic blood pressure is more than 110 mm of Hg. Now coming to types and causes of hypertension. More than 95% cases have a essential hypertension, while 5% have a secondary causes which leads to hypertension because of renal, endocrine, cardiovascular or neurologic disorder. In renal, it is because of acute glomerulonephritis, chronic renal disease, polycystic disease, renal artery stenosis, while in endocrine, adrenocortical hyperfunction, exogenous hormones like estrogen, glucocorticoids, pheochromocytoma, even thyroid hypo or hyperthyroidism leads to hypertension. In cardiovascular disorder like polyarteritis nodosa, increased cardiac output due to any cause, increased intravascular volume which leads to increased blood pressure. In neurological disorder like psychogenic or sleep apnea or stress, acute stress including surgery or in condition in which there is increased intracranial pressure. Now 95% cases it is unknown etiology which leads to blood pressure high or secondary remaining 5% in which because of aging, renal disease, genetic factors, drugs like alcohol, oversynthesis of hormone or arterial diseases. Now coming to pathogenesis of hypertension. Before discussing pathogenesis, we will discuss about normal regulation of blood pressure. Blood pressure is proportional to cardiac output and peripheral resistance. Some factors which affect the cardiac output like cardiac factors and blood volume. In cardiac factors, heart rate and contractility. In blood volume, sodium, mineralocorticoids and atriopeptin, which affects the blood volume. Peripheral resistance are affected by many factors. First, that is the local factors like ionic pH, hypoxia and autoregulation. Second, that is the humoral factors and neural factors, in which some are vasoconstrictor and others some are vasodilators. In humoral factors, constrictors are angiotensin II, catecholamines, thromboxane, leukotrienes, endothelin, while dilators are prostaglandins, kinins and nitric oxide. In neural factors, alpha-adrenergic receptors are vasoconstrictors, while beta-adrenergics are vasodilator. This picture shows regulation of blood pressure. Cardiac output is increased by catecholamines, increased level of catecholamines, and increased blood volume through sodium water retention, which leads to increase in blood pressure. Now, increased peripheral resistance by increased angiotensin, increased catecholamine and increased level of alpha adrenoreceptors. Now, when there is a decreased cardiac output which leads to increased sympathetic nervous system, increased renin-angiotensin system and increased antidiuretic hormone. Because of activation of sympathetic nervous system which leads to increased heart rate, so there is directly increased cardiac output, so maintaining the blood pressure. Because of activation of sympathetic nervous system, it increases the contractility, so there is increased stroke volume and which leads to increased cardiac output and maintaining the blood pressure. Because of these, there is a arterial vasoconstriction, so there is maintaining of blood pressure. Because of increased renin-angiotensin system, which directly affects venous system, so it is a vasoconstrictor, a constrictor of venous system, so there is increased venous return to the heart, so there is increased preload and increased stroke volume. It also increases the circulating volume, so there is directly it increases the stroke volume by increased venous return to the heart. It also, because of decreased cardiac output, there is increased level of antidiuretic hormone, so there is increased circulating volume, so there is increased stroke volume, cardiac output and maintaining the blood pressure. Now, the main role of kidney in hypertension through renin-angiotensin system. It produces a vascular relaxing or antihypertensive substance like prostaglandin and nitric oxide, which counterbalance the vasopressor effect of angiotensin. When there is hypotension or hypovolemia, so there is a decrease in renal hypoperfusion, so there is increased release of renin, and there is a angiotensin through this converting enzyme. Angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2, and this effects of this angiotensin 2 in aldosterone secretion, which leads to increased sodium reabsorption and extracellular volume expansion. This also affects directly renal sodium reabsorption and extracellular volume expansion, so there is again decrease in the release of renin. This angiotensin 2 also increases the systemic blood pressure, so there is decrease in the renin. Now, coming to pathogenesis of essential hypertension. Genetic factors, single gene disorders are very rare condition which leads to hypertension, but several gene disorders may be common. The main pathogenesis, that is a decreased renal sodium excretion with normal arterial pressure, which is a initiating event in the pathogenesis of essential hypertension, which leads to increase in fluid volume and increased cardiac output and peripheral vasoconstriction. So there is increase in the blood pressure. Many vasoconstrictive factors, environmental factors, stress, obesity, smoking, physical inactivity, and heavy consumption of salt leads to essential hypertension. Now, this chart shows genetic influences plus environmental factors which leads to hypertension. Because of these genetic influences, in here there is a defects in renal sodium homeostasis. So there is inadequate sodium excretion. So sodium water retention and increased plasma and extracellular fluid volume level is increased. So there is increased cardiac output and hypertension. Because of this increased extracellular fluid volume, there is increased natriuretic hormone are there. So increased vascular reactivity leads to increased vascular wall thickness, leads to increased peripheral resistance and hypertension. Because of functional vasoconstriction, which leads to increased vascular reactivity, so there is increased peripheral resistance, leads to hypertension. This increased vascular reactivity also increases vascular wall thickness, so it leads to hypertension. There is also a defects in vascular smooth muscle growth and structure, which leads to increased wall thickness or reactivity, which leads to increased peripheral resistance and hypertension. So, in hypertension, because of the some causes, either increased cardiac output or systemic vascular resistance will be increased due to many causes. In cardiac output, the condition in which there is hypervolemia because of renal artery stenosis, renal disease, hyperaldosteronism, hypersecretion of ADH, correction of aorta, pregnancy, stress, pheochromocytoma, in which it is because of increased catecholamine. In this condition, either it may be idiopathic or stress or atherosclerosis or renal artery disease, pheochromocytoma or thyroid dysfunction, diabetes or cerebral ischemia. Now coming to summary, it is a complex multifactorial disorder which resulting from combined effect of mutation or polymorphism at several gene loci that influences blood pressure interacting with a variety of environmental factors. Now coming to vascular pathology, means effects of blood pressure on blood vessel. Hypertension not only accelerates atherogenesis but also causes degenerative changes in the wall of large and medium-sized arteries that can lead to aortic dissection and cerebrovascular hemorrhage. Main three forms of small blood vessel disease are: first, that is most important, these three are most important. First, that is hyaline arteriosclerosis, hyperplastic arteriosclerosis, and necrotizing arteriolysis. Vascular pathology means morphology of high blood pressure on blood vessel routinely asked as a short note. Hyaline arteriosclerosis, it is due to benign hypertension, and these two are it is due to more severe form of hypertension. And necrotizing arteriolysis, it is because of malignant hypertension. Now coming to hyaline arteriosclerosis, this topic is very much important vascular pathology. This is associated with benign hypertension. It is generally seen in elderly patient, more generalized and more severe in patient with hypertension. This slide show, here you will see a homogeneous pink hyaline thickening of arterioles with loss of underlying structural details and narrowing of lumen. These all words are very much important. Homogeneous, pink, hyaline thickening of wall of arterioles. This is known as hyaline arteriosclerosis. This is due to leakage of plasma component across injured extracellular space into vessel walls and increase extracellular matrix production by smooth muscle cell in response to chronic hemodynamic stress. This condition is common in patients with diabetes as a diabetic microangiopathy. It is due to hyperglycemia associated extracellular dysfunction. It is a major morphology of benign nephrosclerosis in kidney. Here you will see a grossly small contracted kidney, and in microscopy you will see this arteriosclerosis, arterial narrowing, diffuse impairment of renal blood supply and loss of nephron. Now coming to hyperplastic arteriosclerosis, it is related to more acute and severe hypertension and malignant hypertension. Here this is the slide of kidney. Here you will find a glomeruli. Here you will find a tubules, and this is arterioles with a onion skin, concentric, laminated thickening of wall of arterioles with progressive narrowing of lumen. Clear? Here these all words are important. Onion skin appearance, okay, concentric, laminated thickening of the wall of arterioles, and there is a decrease in the lumen size. This lamination consists of smooth muscle cells and thickened reduplicated basement membrane. In malignant hypertension, it is associated with deposits of fibrinoid material and acute necrosis of vessel wall. So it is known as necrotizing arteriolitis, which is generally seen in kidney. Again, this is of hyaline arteriosclerosis, which is seen in benign hypertension. This is the slide of which is seen in malignant hypertension, onion skin appearance, that is a hyperplastic arteriosclerosis. This is normal glomeruli. Here a partial hyalinization of glomeruli. This is normal, this is abnormal portion. This is a total hyalinization of glomeruli. Here this is arterioles. This is arterial wall with hyalinization, changes of hyaline arteriosclerosis, and these are tubules, right? Now coming to hypertensive heart disease, in which we will discuss systemic hypertensive heart disease. Because of hypertension, there is hypertrophy of heart. It is due to pressure overload, and so there is a myocardial dysfunction and cardiac dysfunction, which leads to dilatation and congestive heart failure, which leads to sudden death. Minimum criteria for it: left ventricular hypertrophy, which is in the form of concentric in absence of other cardiovascular pathology, history of or pathological evidence of hypertension. According to Framingham study, even mild hypertension means more than 140 mm of Hg if sufficiently prolonged, which induces left ventricular hypertrophy. 25% of patients of US suffer from hypertension. Now coming to pathogenesis. Hypertension leads to increased pressure within the heart. So increased pressure and volume overload leads to myocardial hypertrophy as an adaptive change. Because of chronic condition, there is increase in hypertrophy, which leads to increased oxygen demand. So there is decrease in cardiac output and ischemia. So there is coronary atherosclerosis. So interstitial fibrosis, and ultimately leads to cardiac failure. Now coming to morphology, gross and microscopic feature of heart. This is a hypertrophied heart in severe hypertension. Here you will find grossly a concentric hypertrophy. So it means hypertrophy without dilatation. Remember this. Thickening of left ventricular wall, which leads to increase the ratio of its wall thickness to its radius and increase the weight of heart, which is disproportionate to increase in overall cardiac size. Increased left ventricular wall thickness, normally it is up to 1.5 centimeter. Here it is more than 2 centimeter. Heart weight is also increased. It is more than 500 gram. Microscopically, you will see a increase in transverse diameter of myocyte. In the advanced stage, enlargement becomes irregular with variation in cell size and interstitial fibrosis. This is normal heart. This is left ventricle. Here you will find a thickening of left ventricular wall. Again, this is the gross photographs of heart. Here also you will also find atrium dilatation and also ventricle dilatation. Mark concentric thickening of left ventricular wall, which causes reduction in lumen size. Sorry, not dilatation, but it is a hypertrophied heart, and left atrial is dilated, which is due to atrial volume overload. Now, clinical consequences. Patient either may be asymptomatic, and on ECG or echo changes, you will find a changes. Atrial fibrillation or congestive heart failure with cardiac dilatation or both. Depending upon the underlying cause of hypertension and therapeutic control, normal longevity and death of unrelated cause, progressive IHD due to coronary atherosclerosis, renal damage or cardiovascular stroke, progressive heart failure, or there is an increase the risk of sudden cardiac death. In brain, it leads to stroke. In a retina, you will see a hypertensive retinopathy. In heart, you will find a myocardial infarction, hypertensive cardiomyopathy and heart failure. In kidney, hypertensive nephropathy will be seen and chronic renal failure. Because of high blood pressure, stroke, atherosclerosis in blood vessel, heart attack, heart failure and kidney failure. Now coming to kidney disease, we will see in detail at the time of renal diseases, which taught in which will be teach in third term. Benign nephrosclerosis, the changes will be seen in benign hypertension. Grossly, you will find a small contracted kidney. The kidney will be granular, contracted, leather grain appearance, routinely asked MCQ question. Microscopically, you will find a hyaline arteriosclerosis, tubular atrophy, interstitial fibrosis, glomerular sclerosis and periglomerular fibrosis. In malignant hypertension, because of multiple red color pinpoint petechial hemorrhages, you will find a grossly flea-bitten kidney. And microscopically, necrotizing arteriolysis and hyperplastic arteriolysis. These two words are very important: leather grain appearance in benign hypertension and flea-bitten kidney gross appearance, that is in malignant hypertension. Remember this. Now coming to in brain changes in the form of hyperplastic encephalopathy, in which you will find cerebellar edema, petechial hemorrhages, fibrinoid necrosis of arterioles, fibrinoid exudate around damaged vessels, diffuse loss of axons, gliosis. In retina, you will see a hypertensive retinopathy, It is graded as type 1 to 4, in which narrowing of arterioles, flame-shaped hemorrhage, waxy exudate, cotton wool spots, axons are swollen and resemble shape of cell like cytoid body. MCQ question, what is cytoid body? Papilloedema. Now coming to, this is most important difference between the benign hypertension versus malignant hypertension. In blood vessel, you will see a hypertrophy of intima and medial smooth muscle hypertrophy. Elastosis, hyaline arteriosclerosis, which is a characteristic of benign hypertension. While in malignant hypertension, you will see a onion skin appearance and necrotizing arteriolitis. There is no elastosis. In kidney, grossly, remember this, granular contracted, small contracted kidney. Here you will find in malignant hypertension, flea-bitten kidney. It is because of petechial hemorrhages, pinpoint petechial hemorrhages. In benign hypertension, changes of hyaline arteriosclerosis, glomerulosclerosis, fibrin and exudate around the damaged vessels, and periglomerulus fibrosis. Here in malignant hypertension, grossly flea-bitten kidney, microscopically onion skin appearance, and fibrinal necrosis of arterioles. So this chart is very much important. Remember this. Factors indicating adverse prognosis like persistent diastolic pressure more than 115 mm of Hg, smoking, diabetes, associated with hypercholesterolemia, obesity, cardiac enlargement, ECG changes of ischemia or left ventricular strain, MI, congestive heart failure, retinal exudate, hemorrhage, papilloedema, cardiovascular accident, and impaired renal function and organ damage. Now coming to cor pulmonale, that is a pulmonary hypertensive heart disease in which right-sided heart is involved. What is pulmonary hypertension? This is caused by a number of factors like leaking valve of leaking valve of tricuspid, or mitral valve stenosis, or blockage of pulmonary veins. Because of these, right side of heart has to work harder to pump blood to the lungs, so the right chamber is enlarged and blood is often forced backward through the tricuspid valve. Here you will find right ventricular hypertrophy with dilatation and failure. It is due to pulmonary hypertension. This is caused by disorder of lung or pulmonary vessels. It is divided either into acute or chronic. This acute lesion leads to massive pulmonary embolism, and chronic leads to right ventricular hypertrophy due to prolonged pressure overload, which is caused by obstruction of pulmonary artery or arterioles, compression or obliteration of septal capillaries. Now coming to morphology, in acute acute condition, there is a marked dilatation of right ventricle without hypertrophy, and normal crescent shape right ventricle is changed into dilated ovoid shape. Remember this. In chronic condition, it is characterized by right ventricular hypertrophy, and in extreme cases, the thickness of right ventricle wall may be comparable to or even exceed that of left ventricle. Right ventricular thickness is greater than or equal to 1 centimeter in this chronic case. Okay. Now the figure show right ventricle is marked dilated. This is a right ventricle, this is left ventricle, and here you will see a dilated and hypertrophy both. The shape and volume of left ventricle is distorted. It is because of enlarged right ventricle. Clear? Now coming to summary. Hypertension is a common disorder which affecting 25% of the population. It is a major risk factor for atherosclerosis, congestive heart failure, and renal failure. It may be idiopathic or primary or less commonly secondary. In close to 95% cases of hypertension, it is because of idiopathic or essential. Secondary causes are due to primary renal disease, renal artery narrowing, or adrenal disorder. In essential hypertension, which represent 95% of cases, it is a complex multifactorial disorder involving both environmental influences and genetic polymorphism. Hypertension occasionally is caused by single gene disorder or is secondary to disease of renal arteries, kidneys, adrenal glands, or other endocrine organs. Hypertensive heart disease can affect either left ventricle or right ventricle. When it affects the right ventricle, then it is known as cor pulmonae. Elevated pressure induces myocyte hypertrophy and interstitial fibrosis that increases the wall of thickness and stiffness. The chronic pressure overload of systemic hypertension causes left ventricular concentric hypertrophy, often associated with left atrial dilatation due to impaired diastolic filling of ventricle. And persistently elevated pressure overload can cause ventricular failure with dilatation. Pulmonary hypertension, it is due to primary lung parenchymal or vascular disorders. Hypertrophy of both right ventricle and right atrium is a characteristic. Dilatation also may be seen when failure supervenes. Thank you.